Hi everyone, my name is Claudia. I have a pretty big book haul ahead of me. It is February, which is my birthday month, although some of these books I've accumulated over the last few months. So without further ado, let's get started. So I want to first start off with some of the books that I either got for free or that I got severely discounted at last year's Comic-Con in San Diego. I'm not going to go very much into detail, if at all, on any of these books. There's just way too many of them. So 3 of them that I got discounted, I think it was 3 for $10, and it was in a Disney section. I have these 2, Passenger and The Afterlife by Alexandra Bracken. And then we also have Unearthed by Amie Kaufman and Megan Spooner. So yeah, all 3 of those were in a Disney section for some reason, and I picked them up there. The next 3 books that I got at a discount, which I'm probably the most excited about, are these 3 by Joe Abercrombie. The first one is The Blade Itself, second one is Before They Are Hanged, and the third one is Last Argument of Kings. I got these 3 for $20, which was, a pretty good deal, and then I just love these versions of them. I've seen these other versions that are more colorful, but these are just white and more minimalistic, which I totally dig. I've yet to read anything by Joe Abercrombie. I did haul Half a King months ago, but I think since I have all 3 of these, I might as well just read through this trilogy first before getting to the other one that starts with Half a King. And then the last few books that I got I got them complimentary. They were either giving them out or I got it for free for one reason or another. A lot of the times these books are on sale, but then they have a certain amount of inventory, and if they don't get sold, then they just start giving them out for free. So one thing I do is I keep walking around the book sections a lot towards the end of the day, and then that's usually when they're giving out stuff for free. Or, you just wait in a line somewhere, and you're like, oh, what is this for? And then it turns out to be for a free book, and I just hop in, and then whatever I get, I get. All right, so quickly, one of the free ones that I got is Bad Man by Dathan Auerbach. No idea how you pronounce that, but I'll spell it out right here. I also got an advanced reading copy of Dear Evan Hansen by Val Emmich, or Emmich, and this one came out in October of 2008, but I got it last summer. Still haven't read it, but I am planning on it. I think it's based on a musical, or it's formatted like a musical. I could be wrong, but that's all I really know about it. Don't want to know more. Another advanced reading copy that I got that came out last year in September 2018 is Mecha Samurai Empire. I did look this one up because it turns out that it's a sequel, so I don't have the copy of the first book. I have to get my hands on it, but it does sound really interesting. It is alternative history. I think it has to deal with Nazi Germany still being in power, and then it, being at war with Imperial Japan. So this is why the samurais come into play. But again, that's really all I know, if that's even accurate. Then I also received The Lost Fleet Dauntless by Jack Campbell. This is a military science fiction. I don't think I've ever read military science fiction, so I'm very much looking forward to this one. Then I also got The Passage by Justin Cronin. This came out as a series in January this year of 2019, and all I really know about this one is that it leans horror. All right, and so the last book that I got for free at Comic-Con, I wasn't supposed to get for free, but I'm gonna assume that this man was a Scientologist because he really, really, really wanted me to buy this book. He was not able to persuade me to buy it, so finally at last he's like, oh, this book has a little, bent on the cover or whatever, just take it while you can. They can't sell this book anyways because it's damaged. It had very minimal damage. But anyways, he gave it to me for free, and that is Battlefield Earth by L. Ron Hubbard. Super excited to read this one. It's quite intimidating. It runs over 1,000 pages, but the reason I think the man was a Scientologist was because he seemed pretty adamant and intense, and this book, as far as I'm aware, is what Scientology is based off of. So yeah, I feel like I can't call myself a sci-fi fan if I haven't read this, or at least I should have plans to read it at some point. I've never seen the movie. I know there is a horrendous movie based on this book. I don't even know what year it's from and if I'm ever going to watch it, but the book, for sure, I want to get to it. Sorry that I'm here having to record on a totally different day because I completely forgot to include 4 books that I'm actually super stoked about. And 3 of them I recently purchased at Barnes & Noble. I did have a gift card that I got for my birthday probably like 2 years ago, and I just forgot that I had it. But I used that to purchase this, which is called A Middle-earth Traveler. And this is by John Howe, who was one of the artists that they used for the films. Anyways, I'm gonna go more into detail in my January wrap-up because I did finish this already. But just a little sneak peek. Probably won't be able to see it that well, but what gorgeous artistry. Why couldn't I have been born that talented? Also, from my last trip to the bookstore, I picked up A Journey to the Center of the Earth. This is one of my many picks because I love the movie from 1959. I thought it was wonderfully creative, so I just can't wait to read the novel version by Jules Verne. Next up, I also got Leviathan Wakes by James S.A. Corey. Need I say more? Looks like a space opera. I'm into it. I know it's the first of a series, which is kind of intimidating because this is quite a brick. Although looking at it closely, I think it's probably bigger than it should be because it's not even 600 pages. So it's probably just a formatting thing that makes it look a lot bigger. You know, so hopefully it won't take me too long to read this one. Next up is the last book that I got at Comic-Con for free. I do apologize, it's just a lot of these books were scattered everywhere, and even if I'm forgetting a few other ones, this is it, I'm done. But that is The Knife of Never Letting Go, and I absolutely love the version that I got. This is by Patrick Ness, and I'm very intrigued by this story because it seems to have a very unique premise. When I was at Comic-Con, the girls who were giving them out for free totally sold me on the concepts. I can't believe that I had to be persuaded to take this for free. Not really, but it was nice of them to give us a spiel before deciding if we wanted to take it or not. But yeah, I know there's a guy in here who's trying to escape, but the world that he lives in, people can hear his every thoughts. So, you know, how do you get away from that? So yeah, I just never heard of anything like this before. So, and this is the first of 3 books, so I have to get my hands on the next 2 books, but maybe I'll wait and see if I really enjoy this one before getting the other 2, but I think I'm gonna like it. All right, so next up I have quite a big haul from BookOutlet and Thriftbooks. So here are some of them. And then I also have a whole box, which I'm not even gonna attempt to carry right now. One of the first books that I want to show you guys that I finally got a copy of. I had been looking for this book for so long. Anytime that I go to a bookstore, I would look for it, and for some reason, I would just never find it. I finally went on thriftbooks.com and found a decent version of it in pretty good condition, and it is the cover that I absolutely wanted. So that is 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. He is an author who I've read a lot of his poetry, but I've never gotten around to one of his novels. Actually, I'm lying. I did read Love in the Time of Cholera a long time ago because I was a fan of the movie. But this one won a Nobel Prize, and it's considered one of his most prolific works. My mom actually bought a version of it in Spanish, and I did read like the first 2 pages of it in Spanish, but because Gabriel Garcia Marquez was Colombian, I have Mexican heritage. A lot of those words I didn't know. Every other word I felt like I was asking my mom, what does this mean? And some of them she didn't even know herself. So I am going to read it in English, maybe one day, just to kind of expand my Spanish vocabulary. Maybe I'll read this one in Spanish. But I think on first read, I need to give it a go in English. But yeah, this has just been a venture. I've been wanting to read this for years and years and years. So definitely super excited. And Gabriel Garcia Marquez has always been one of my favorite poets. So I better read it. Okay, so next up I have a series actually. I was really in the mood for dragons. and I had to find some of them on Book Depository and some of them on BookOutlet. So it was a combination of finding them online from both stores. And that is the Natural History of Dragons series by Marie Brennan. I don't know in what order they are exactly, but the first one, of course, is A Natural History of Dragons. And then we have Within the Sanctuary of Wings, The Tropic of Serpents, In the Labyrinth of Drakes, and lastly, Voyage of the Basilisk. So like I said, I'm not quite sure about the order. I just know that Natural History of Dragons is the first one. It's about a young woman who is a scientist, and her job is sort of to study dragons, you know, as any zoologist would study animals. At least that's as far as I've understood from it. I don't really want to know anything else. Next up, I have the first book in a series, and that is Binti Bainetti Okarofor. Sorry if I'm butchering that again. This is also a winner of an Hugo and Nebula Award. And all I know about it is that it is a super short science fiction book. So hopefully this will be one of the first ones I read from this whole haul since it is so short. Then I have yet another dragon book called The Dragon and the Unicorn. And all I know about this one is that it is a King Arthur sort of retelling, which I love Arthurian legend. So I hope I can get to this one pretty soon too. Just a little disappointed because I thought I was going to get a paperback, but got a hardcover. Oh well. Next up, I also got The Librarian of Auschwitz by Antonio Iturbe, and it says on the cover that it is based on the true story of Auschwitz prisoner Dita Kraus. So I'm just going to assume that this is a very heartbreaking story. Nevertheless, I really want to read a little bit of more Jewish history. I think Jewish history or Jewish historical fiction is very important. Just, you know, you can't argue it was just such a tragic time. So I think it's something that's very important to revisit every now and then. And my God, this cover is just absolutely gorgeous. I also got That Inevitable Victorian Thing by E.K. Johnston. And all I know about this one is that it is a modern fairy tale. Also, super gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous cover. The next book that I got, I am very nervous about. It's called The Memory of Things by Gabe Polisner. It doesn't say that it's based on a true story, but I'm gonna guess that it's historical fiction. It's about a 16-year-old on the morning of September 11th, 2001, and just her witnessing the first tower come down. I don't know if the book expands more time other than just that day. But either way, I just know this is going to be very, very hard to get through. And man, I'm very nervous. But again, I feel like this is going to be a very important story to revisit, just because we can't allow ourselves to become numb or desensitized to these types of tragedies. Next up, I have another series, which is a trilogy by A.C. Gowen. First one is Scarlet, and then Lionheart, and the third one is Lady Thief, if I'm not mistaken of the order, but Scarlet for sure is the first book. And what I believe these are, or they're all fairy tale retellings. I could be wrong, but I don't know. I don't want to know anything else about them. I did look them up on Goodreads and they all had pretty good reviews, so that's why I chose to add them to my cart. But other than that, I'm just looking forward to reading them and finding out for myself what they're all about. Then I have yet another trilogy, which more dragons. Told you I was very much in a dragon mood. These also I had to combine with Book Depository and BookOutlet because they weren't all available in one place. The first book in the series is Dawn of the Dragons by James A. Owen. I am obsessed with these covers, and actually that's how I discovered them. I discovered the books with the second one, which is Time of the Dragons. I saw this on BookOutlet for like a few cents, maybe it was like 89 cents or something like that. And I just thought the cover was absolutely gorgeous. I looked into the series and each book had pretty good reviews. And I was like, well, let me look into it and try to get the other books too. So yeah, after going on Book Depository and Thriftbooks, I was also able to get the first book and the third one. But this was the second one that was available that I first saw on BookOutlet for a few cents. So, I mean, for not much, I have myself a whole new dragon series that seems very promising. And the last book is Fall of the Dragons. I mean, isn't that just freaking gorgeous? And also, I never hear anybody on BookTube ever talk about these books. I don't know, but again, if it weren't for BookOutlet and searching for super cheap books, I would have never found that second book. Looked into it and then found the whole trilogy. Anyway, I just feel extremely lucky with that find. Last but not least, I got a book here that I was looking for on BookOutlet for a pretty long time, and I never saw it until I was able to snag it on Book Depository, and that is Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky. Also don't know much about this other than it's science fiction, giant spiders, outer space. So it sounds right up my alley. Ever since finishing The Two Towers and reading about Shelob. And then I also read like a Middle-earth companion, and it brought up Ungoliant, who Shelob is descended from. And yeah, I don't know. And then I guess growing up with Harry Potter too, it's just a big spider phenomenon that kind of went on. This is just one of those books that I think I'm gonna absolutely love, and I really hope I'm not proven wrong. So I lied. That wasn't the last book that I have here. I have 3 others. I found this super cute, it's an interesting bookstore. They just kind of have old versions of books, different versions of them. They're not all new. Most of them are used to a degree, but in pretty well condition. And it's not like they're super cheap like at a thrift store. However, I think the owner of the bookstore tries to specifically find online certain versions of a book so that he has them available in store. The first one I picked up there is The Elephant Man, which is a play by Bernard Pomerantz. I'm familiar with this story because David Lynch made this into a movie, The Elephant Man, and I adore that movie. I want to say it's like his only normal film, like for him to prove, hey, I can make a standard, classical film without it being too funky or weird. However, I absolutely love that movie. So I'm curious to see how the play plays out. And now, for sure, the last 2 books that I hauled over the last few months were The Two Towers and The Return of the King. I already own them. I've shown them on my channel before, but these versions were the ones that I really wanted. They're kind of in line with the versions of The Hobbit and The Silmarillion that I own back from when I was like 13 years old. Actually, let me go grab them right now. So when I was 13, it was the Houghton Mifflin version that I got of The Hobbit and The Silmarillion, and these are still my favorite versions of any of the Tolkien books. Maybe because they're the ones that I grew up with, but they have beautiful watercolor paintings. And I haven't seen a version that I like more. So, I was just kind of like, when I walked into that bookstore, I was not expecting to see the Houghton Mifflin versions of the Lord of the Rings books. Unfortunately, I didn't find the Fellowship of the Ring, but very, very happy with these 2 finds. I feel a little bit more complete now. All right, so that's going to be all for today, I promise. Thank you for sticking this video through. I know it's probably pretty long, but in any case, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.